Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's get stuck in as a bit of a late start this morning to take the kids to school to start with, so making the video late, so sorry about that. But I mean, there's not a great deal to say about what's going on in the market. It's still consolidating. However, there is a chance now that we are seeing the beginnings of the end of this consolidation. We've got all these lows forming, lower lows with higher lows on the 4-hourly, RSI and money flow index. Whoa, blah 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 blah. Classic bullish divergence on the shorter term time frames, and still managed to close each candle body above this major support, which is 65,360. So that's not so bad, to be honest with you. That's not bad at all. In fact, it's still quite good. And if it didn't have the bullish divergence, I would probably be thinking we're going to break it, and we still might. But with this divergence, I'd be looking for a bounce on it really, and the bounce could only really take us up to the death cross, which has only been formed recently on this 4-hourly. Resistance being 67,500 to a maximum of around 68,300. Now, if these get broken, which they might, they could. If they get broken, then yeah, we're back on and everything's back on again. If it doesn't get broken, then we're coming back down again. Those areas are more or less highlighted on the daily, as the center of the Bollinger Band also comes in at that level. So it's a major area. If you start seeing daily closures above 68,400, we'll call it, then I'd probably say that this is the reversal. But to say that it's going to happen from this exact level, it's a bit hopium induced. I can't really say that for certain, but I stick to what I say about buying incrementally on the way down, and it would be an altcoin market that we buy incrementally on the way down. And again, yesterday coming down a little bit further for Ethereum on the weekly. First of all, we've hit that 20 weekly moving average, which is pretty sweet. It's the first time we've touched it since we launched from it. Now, just like Bitcoin and any other chart, that especially something that's moved dramatically quite quickly, like Ethereum did, then exponentials count for a lot as well. Now, if we look back at the last consolidation on Ethereum, we did this nice rally. We consolidated, and yeah, we sort of used the 20 moving average more than we did the 21. But they're more or less equal. And if we do come down a little bit further, the price for Ethereum from this point now would be another 6% down to 3,229. That's where it would be. That would be the best educated guess to find out where significant low would be if we haven't already touched it. Look, I love moving averages. There's a reason I love them. It's because they're so neat and tidy. They, for the most part, are very neat and tidy, and this is very neat. So if we do reverse from here, it wouldn't be a surprise at all. When you're talking trading, you're talking statistics. There is no golden crystal ball. Sorry, it's all about risk to reward, statistical likelihood of outcome. And when you're using Bollinger Bands, which is a nice simple strategy, if you just to use them on their own, you come down to a touch of Bollinger Band when you're above it, you're more likely to remain above it to the tune of 65%. So you're 65% more likely to remain in the upper portion of the band. That's not an enormous statistic, but it's still odds in your favour, and that's where you've hit it. And so for the long-term investment money, that's where you'd start your that's where you'd put a large portion of your cash down here. And again, on a weekly time frame, it might not reverse immediately today from here, but we've already kissed it on the cheek very nicely, so I would expect an attempt of a reaction from here, and if we do keep coming down, it's the 21 exponential should catch it. More or less the same thing's going on with Bitcoin, to be honest with you. Bitcoin's a little stronger, but more or less saw the same sort of move. We came down below this horizontal, which again, horizontal is fine. It corresponds to the previous candle body all-time high from the previous cycle, so it means something. But the 20 moving average is a little bit further below it, 64,240. We front run that target by a few $100, so quite close to it. Not actually on it, but quite close to it. So I like it. I'm still bullish on the market, and I think each one of these increments down is a good opportunity. We're here to talk about XRP today, though, not everything else, but it's always worth referencing the rest of the market because it works as one giant machine. So we saw a nice move up and down and back up again yesterday for XRP. Kind of related to the fact that some bloke resigned at some place somewhere, and the market thought that, we'll buy XRP as a result of that. So yeah, whether you class that as a bullish sign or not, I don't really know. It's just it's a lot of rubbish. But what we can say is, all right, now that we have this, what do we see on the charts? What does the chart tell us? Well, similar to Ethereum, similar to Bitcoin, 4-hourly bullish divergence. marked this low, which actually sparked this nice rally all the way up to 52 cents, smack back down, spring back up. So if we look at the 4 hourly now, what are we looking at? What can we actually see? Is there anything actually bullish on this? Yeah, well, there is actually. There is a pump signal. The pump signal has already been generated, but does it have continuation? Can it move its way back into this lost symmetrical triangle? If it does, that's bullish. And again, just like Bitcoin and Ethereum, you want to get above all moving averages on the shorter term time frames, being this 4 hourly, and that would be just a little bit lower than where we were rejected from yesterday, 51.5 cents. Not bad. Not bad. Anything else going on in that 51.5 cents? Well, on the daily, we've got 51.5 cents is the 50 exponential. That's a big deal to get above that, because you can see how we've used that as resistance all the way over here and more or less here. So you get above that, it's a good start. There's nothing else on this chart which is particularly bullish on the daily. Yeah, we're making a positive cross. It's below the 0 point, but it is a positive cross. We might be looking at an attempt of a reversal from here. And I know what it sounds like when you talk about reversals in a descending market. Everybody wants to hear it. Everybody's probably saying it, but do they have any evidence to back it up? Probably not. But you have to try to see some evidence to back it up, because at the moment the main strategy for me is dollar cost averaging on the way down. Now, I'm not dollar cost averaging into XRP. I've got plenty of it. I don't need any more of it, right? But if you wanted to get some, the 50s is more or less an okay place to begin that process. The increments on the way down, really, since we lost this 200 simple moving exponential moving average at 50.5 cents, the odds are in favor of further downside. But we can turn around quite quickly on all the markets if Bitcoin and Ethereum decide that they want to turn around. And there's some evidence on the short-term time frames to say that they will. But like most charts, most altcoin charts, not all, but most altcoin charts, they kind of look sad, like this one. XRP does look particularly sad, and there's so much ground to make up. We're full of resistances, which means that, unless we have some sort of huge, massive beast candle that, for whatever reason, breaks above all of these and makes a decent closure, and it has to make a closure, can't make a wick, it's got to make a closure, and then the trading environment has to be favourable as well. We can get rejected from any one of these. So again, 50.5, 51.5, major one up here at 54.5, and then once you've broken that, it should be quite easy to see us make our way back up to around 60 to 61. Each one of these levels being like a major area. Notice how the majority of the stronger resistances are in the, all the way up to 55, we'll call it. Which means it'll be a struggle to get above these areas. It'll be pretty annoying, to be honest with you. The sell walls around here are just going to be enormous on every time frame. But once this area has been reclaimed, we call it 55 to 55.5 cents, it should be easy enough to start to see an uptrend build, probably slow and steady, similar to the initial one around here, which hopefully at some point, later on this year, will take us to an okay area. We can start to get really bullish on XRP above 68 cents, but until we get above there, it's just going to be a bit of a painful process. But it doesn't mean that we can't expect it. I think we should expect it over time. The idea for the entire market was always one of expect consolidation, throughout the summer and turn around after the summer. So we are definitely seeing that now. My tune hasn't changed since December, really. We got in at altcoins massively around October, and basically was selling off from December. So again, just to reiterate, buying around here, which is what we did. I remember some of the best ones we did at the beginning, because everyone was saying, "What are you doing? This is crazy." Blah blah blah. We made some really good ones. We bought Crow, we bought BSV. These are the ones that first launched. Then sort of dabbled around with some other coins, made a really big meme coin trade with SHIB. We did really well. And then in December, started selling off, because I thought, okay, there's a good chance that there's a peak here. We continue to rally. We bought the dip, sold the rip, and then basically made sure that we were kind of a majority out as we approached, March and stuff, which was a good call, really. Now it's time to think about getting back in again, and with every dip comes opportunity. The total 2, had a big wick down yesterday. Currently, we might be looking at a closure below this area, which means that if we do keep going down, we come down to this major resistance. That's another 8.5% for altcoins on the total 2, which would probably mean a lot more for other altcoins individually. So I'm not saying that we're at a low right now, but we're at the midway point now. So as far as dollar cost averaging is concerned, the first opportunity was a few weeks ago, sort of did that here, started to buy a bit more last week, as we were here, I'd certainly be buying more if we come down to this area, because just like I made on this video, I'll post a link above my head so you can watch it. I made a video about the total 2 and the expectations, and the expectations are nothing more than what we are seeing right now. And I'm not saying that to say that I was absolutely right or anything like that, but you know, when you trade, especially you know, if you're buying for a longer period of time, so creating a portfolio that you're looking to sell in like a year or two, then you have to accept that you don't know where the low is, you don't know where the top is, especially on a volatile asset class like crypto. So what you do is you incrementally buy on the way down. It's just dollar cost averaging. You know, it's the same for most things. Stocks, gold, whatever. You know, you put money in and you hold it, and you keep holding it until it reaches a level where you're happy to sell it, basically. But you have to buy on the way down for the most part. And at the moment, we're halfway through. That doesn't mean that we have to hit the new low. We don't have to. We could reverse from any one of these areas, which is why you incrementally buy on the way down. I just think that there's some evidence to say that we will bounce from here at least. Maybe not reverse, but at least bounce. And if we do come down, it is a blessing in disguise. Just because you can't get rich by this afternoon doesn't mean that you're not going to make money later on, like a year from now. Probably even sooner than that. It wouldn't surprise me if this market turned around quite dramatically. After the summer, maybe even saw some significant pumps, like what we saw last October to December, when we made all that money on the initial alt season when it began. Look around you, right? This is what I want you to do. Look around you. And do people want to buy altcoins, or are they giving up? I would say that they pretty much weren't really buying altcoins in the first place. Certainly people who have huge attention to detail were buying altcoins and making money out of them. For the most part, nobody wants anything to do with crypto. You speak to the average man on the street, when you say the word crypto, they now think of FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. That's what they think about, and fair enough, because it's a big problem. It's, in a risky asset class already, in a volatile market, the last thing you need is for it to all go to zero because there's some bloody fat cat who's just misusing your funds. And so that's another thing that you can't be dealing with. So I can understand why people, but the retailers are afraid, right? They don't want to get involved, and I don't blame them. So it's the sentiment is low. It's going to be even lower now that we've just seen consolidation. So the people who have been buying altcoins have generally been buying quite close to a top, really, and now what we're doing is we sold to them here and around here, all the way up here. We've been selling to those guys. Now we're buying back from them, and we will sell it back to them as we ricochet from either here or here, all the way up to new all-time highs, really, for the total 2, for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, and for hopefully your particular altcoin of choice. Now I've got a Patreon if you want to join that. Links in the description below. We'll look at as many charts as we have time for, usually in a 2-hour period. And we're doing one tonight, so if you want to join that, there's a link for the Patreon. Sign up, and I'll see you there tonight. Otherwise, good luck out there trading. Nobody knows the low, nobody knows the high, but I would assume relatively comfortably that we are approaching the low some points very soon, and this might be the last low that you get before it really starts to rally up hard over the next 12 to 16, maybe 18 months. And look, the risk to reward is enormous. This is what you've got to always remember. The risk to reward is enormous, as in the form of reward. If for XRP, for instance, let's just think about this before I let you go. If we lose this area and we continue to go down, the next major area of support is another 15%, it's 42 cents. If that gets lost, then we are looking for a much lower low into the 30s, which is around 35%, which again is pretty significant. It's 35%. You don't want to have to deal with that, but the reward, even from this level that we bought now, even up to this previous sort of measly $2 area, is 300%. So that is like a 1 to 10. That's like enormous risk to reward. From the low, obviously, if you think about it like that. And that's only if we reclaim that high and we don't go to a new all-time high. I mean, there is a very good chance that XRP, as well as many other altcoins, goes to a new all-time high. So you've got to think about risk to reward. Yeah, of course, buying now and then seeing further downside to the tune of like 35% is not good. in the short term, but you just got to remember, what is your plan? Because you've got to have a plan, and if your plan is to say, I don't know where the low is, but this is okay enough for me to at least get my toes wet, start building that portfolio. And if we go down lower, then that's actually good as well, because I get to buy more from a lower zone. Because my expectation is to make our way back up to $2 or potentially even $3, $4, $5 or even more. Then, you know, buying here is absolutely acceptable anyway, even if it means you have to sustain a bit more downside before you bounce and shoot back up again. That is the way I see the market. I don't know if it's the way that you see the market, it's the way that I'm seeing it. I don't see any differences really whatsoever in the way that this cycle is performing compared to the last cycle. And so I would imagine that it's going to end up performing similar to how it always has. It's just that the sentiment is low right now, which is fine, because the sentiment, when it's low, is usually a time to buy. I expect that this is something that we should all be taking advantage of. Don't buy the worst chart you've ever seen, obviously. Buy something that's got some value to it, or at least a decent chart. But yeah, no altcoin is created equal, which is, again, you know, why we should always join the Patreon. There's power in numbers. Right, thanks for watching. I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy and trade safe.